Tell me about this Bama-Oklahoma game on Friday.
This game was one of the best kickoffs to college football playoffs we've had. Obviously, last season had a lot of blowouts. We're going to talk about some blowouts at some point here, but this game was real close. This was a real fun one with this Oklahoma team. And it, obviously, it's a 10-point game, but I really thought Oklahoma had a chance of clawing back in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a crazy game. You're down by 17 points. Oklahoma was up 17-0. And I sent you a message and I said, I'm starting to look like a genius right now, because I went out there and said there was two things that was going to happen in this game, because I thought Oklahoma was winning this football game. I really did.
Yeah.
I said, John Mateer is going to go off and Ty Simpson's going to be pressured so much that he cannot control himself. That's what I thought was going to happen. In the first quarter, that was the script. That was exactly what happened. I was like, I'm starting to feel real good about my prediction. Maybe the rest of this weekend will go the exact same way. Spoiler alert, it did not go that way the rest of the game. I mean, other than that first quarter, maybe a little bit in that second quarter, Alabama completely took over this game. It was insane. The second part of the first half, the block punt, the pick six.
Yes.
All of that stuff I feel like wouldn't have happened. Hear me out here. There was a play where John Mateer he scrambled out this side. He could have rushed for a first down. Instead, he threw it deep to a wide open receiver. I think it was actually a running back, but he was wide open. Probably would have been another touchdown. Probably would have been 24-0 in this case. But instead, the wide receiver dropped the football and they had the punt. That was the punt that got blocked. If it wasn't for that play and that play alone, I think Oklahoma doesn't go on this terrible run in the second half or the end of the first half, and they win this football game. One play, I think, changed all of this. You probably don't get the pick six. You probably don't get the punt block. Although John Mateer didn't play his best, he did not have the support he needed.
No, it felt like in this one, Oklahoma had everything bundled up real tight to start the game. Like everything was packaged really nicely. It was a Christmas present. It looked really nice under the tree. And then all of a sudden, one thing didn't go exactly how it was planned, and it exploded. And there was no regaining control. It was chaos left and right, and Oklahoma just could not find a way to get their footing again. Obviously, Mateer ended up throwing for over 300 yards in this game, but after the first quarter, it felt like it was like getting nowhere. Like there really wasn't a whole lot of production. Obviously, the interception you mentioned, 2 touchdowns for John Mateer. I was actually somehow impressed with how it felt like Oklahoma was doing absolutely nothing after their 17-point lead. Like it just really felt like it was all Alabama's game after that. And there's a lot of talk about, obviously, do they deserve to be in? Do they not? And that's a totally different conversation. But Alabama came out swinging in this one once they were able to get their feet under them. And it was pretty clear that they were going to win this game.
Yeah, just a wild way to start off the college football playoffs. That's the best way that I can say this is on one side, you thought you were completely thinking that Oklahoma was going to win this game in Norman. You thought it might be good for the home teams, right? Something that wasn't the case last year. And then Alabama turns around and runs this. Now, a lot of people were saying that Alabama, on the flip side, didn't deserve to be there because of the blowout in the SEC championship and all the things that happened in that game. Now that they beat this Oklahoma team, do you either think that Bama is more of a contender, or are you on the side of, okay, maybe Oklahoma didn't deserve to be there? Maybe we have too many SEC teams in this thing, and maybe that's a big problem. Maybe there's too many teams in the same conference, and it's getting oversaturated.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned I had a busy weekend. I had a busy weekend talking sports. I had a lot of people, a lot of uncles, grandpas, in-laws, a lot of people to break down what I thought of the college football playoff, what I thought of this Alabama team was a huge point of contention. And I've ended up kind of in the camp of, I don't really care if Alabama won this game by 80 points or by 1 point. I don't know if they necessarily deserved to be there in the first place. But when you ask me, are they a national title contender? At this point, I mean, they kind of have the momentum at the right point of the year, right? Like, I think that they've beat this Oklahoma team, and they're going to have a very tough road getting through Indiana. And I do think that they're a legitimate contender, but Indiana, of course. But you can't count Alabama out. Now that they're in the dance and now that they have some momentum, not only a 10-point win, a 34 points up on the board win, but also a 17-point come from behind win, right? A way to find a way to right the ship on the road in Norman, Oklahoma. Like, yeah, this was an impressive win for Alabama. whether or not they deserve to be in prior to this. I'm in the camp of probably not. 3 losses is, I mean, I feel like we're setting some precedent there. We'll just put it that way. But this was a huge win. Do you think Alabama should have been win or loss regardless, or are you in the camp of like, well, they won, they proved that they are one of the 12 best teams in the country?
That second half team, Alabama deserved to be there, but that first quarter definitely shook me, not gonna lie. Definitely made me kind of contemplate, how is Notre Dame, how is BYU feeling about this college football playoffs after watching that first quarter of Oklahoma and Alabama. And you could say that with some of these other games that we're going to talk about later today. And then it kind of changed. And then Alabama kind of reminded you, like, okay, we're Alabama. We're the team that should be here. A lot of people expect us to be here. We have the roster to be here, the talent, no doubt. Now we might have underperformed this season. Lost to Florida State, obviously comes to mind. But then, you talk about how amazing Oklahoma's defense is, and they got to Ty Simpson 4 times. That's impressive. But did you expect Alabama to get to John Mateer 5 times? Did you expect 5 sacks from the Alabama defense? No, they stepped up when it was needed to be done. They rushed for over 230 yards on the ground. That's insane against Oklahoma, who is an insane rushing defense. They only had to throw for 232 in Ty Simpson, but he didn't make any mistakes. And in the Oklahoma-Alabama game in the regular season, that was the big thing. Oklahoma won the turnover department, the turnover margin by 3. And this one, they didn't get a single turnover from Bama. Bama was perfect when it comes to the turnover department. And that's biggest reason why they won by 10 points here. They proved me wrong. I thought Oklahoma was winning by 10. I said they win by more than one possession. So, at least by 9 points in that case. And they won and it was the flip side. Alabama won by 10 here. Looking at the college football playoff bracket now, Alabama obviously gets the win. They move on to take on Indiana in the Rose Bowl. That game's going to be good. That game's going to be really good. We get 2 shades of red, against Alabama, Oklahoma. We're getting that again in Indiana and Alabama. And it's going to be a fun Rose Bowl. Very excited for that one. Early predictions here. Does Alabama have what it takes to run with Indiana, the team that is the number 1 seed, the overall number 1 seed in the college football playoffs, beat Ohio State, the Big Ten championship game? Kirk Stagnetti, what he's doing is really changing the entire landscape of how you hire college football coaches. Can Bama run with Indiana?
They're going to give them a run, right? I don't know if it's going to be, and we're going to get to this in a second, but I don't know if it's going to be like a James Madison run or if it's going to be a legitimate Bama, come from behind run. I do think Indiana is the best team in the country right now. It's hard to really argue that. Ohio State's going to always be in that conversation. And honestly, people that say Ohio State's better than Indiana, like, hey, I that's a totally respectable opinion. I am going to side with Indiana here. And so Alabama's going to have a tall task, but that doesn't mean they can't do it, right? Like, obviously, this win meant a lot in a lot of different ways. And I think it showed Alabama that they can compete in this tournament, and not necessarily that they needed a reminder, but they have a tall task ahead of them. We'll see just how ready they are to answer the bell, I guess is how I put it.